All right, TFWR, Ricky Cheese, and Jordan Cohn back on the go. Good morning, grind. We're here. Good morning, Ricky.
Good morning, my producer, buddy, pal,
How?
Jordan. What's going on? You look like you're at on vacation, but you're actually you're working.
Nah, man. We are working here. Pat Lugo, the Miami Hawks. We're about 3/4 of the way through the 2-week elite camp, but we also have a 5-day getaway freestyle and Greco that we got. We're rolling into right afterward here in Leesburg. So good time.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of great conditions. We got Keys Clark here, staying at the Airbnb, helping out. Just got him. Aaron Lucio from SEU, NAIA finalist. So good company,
Oh yeah.
good company.
Got a house full of studs. That's a pretty safe house. The burglar that chooses to rob that house made the wrong choice. That's for sure.
That's for sure. So what you
Would
up
not
to?
would not turn out well for him. We have a very special guest, Gianni Guerriero, wrestled at St. Thomas Aquinas High School all 4 years. He was a multiple-time state placer, went on to wrestle NAIA at St. Thomas University in Miami. Did you also coach at St. Thomas University, or you went right into high school coaching?
No, I went right into high school coaching.
Okay, so he landed at he was coaching a while at St. Thomas for a little bit. Got a really great opportunity to move over to Archbishop McCarthy with Charlie Morgan. And we're going to start there because what a friggin' whirlwind it was for you last season. What'd you take, 9 or 10 to the state tournament?
I think 9. Yeah, it was the most in program history, and yeah, it was the best finish the school ever had. So
So you
yeah, it was a
took
great
9
year.
and then you actually put some on the podium, and one was even in the state finals, right? JoJo Scott?
Yeah, we had 5, I think, place, and yeah, JoJo made it to the finals, and he was maybe like a point or two away from winning the whole thing. So he's got one more year to do that though.
For people who may not know you, tell us about your wrestling journey from St. Thomas Aquinas to St. Thomas University. How did that whole thing transpire?
Well, I grew up, doing jujitsu because of my dad and my brother. My dad and brother are both black belts. My dad got me and my brother into jujitsu, and he's a 5th degree black belt, and we lifelong martial artist, and he got us both into martial arts at a young age, and uh, I forgot how it happened when my brother ended up finding St. Thomas Aquinas, and I ended up just following his footsteps with wrestling, and if anyone knows Sal, he was one of the best to come out of Florida, and a dog. So I had a lot of shoes to fill. And, and then after that, I went over to St. Thomas University. Actually, I started at Kaiser University. And
Oh, that's
after
right.
1 year, yeah, after 1 year, I transferred over to St. Thomas University.
Yeah. Yeah. St. Thomas was a little bit closer for you than driving to West Palm
Yeah.
every day from
hmm
Plantation.
But at Kaiser, I was teammates with one of my best buds, Bryce, your son. So
Yeah.
that was a good experience. So,
Yeah, it was. Now, going back to coaching last year, you had a state finalist, JoJo Scott. Let me ask you this. What separated him from everybody else on that team?
I think for JoJo, it was just, he's gifted with great attributes, and one of those being, he's very quick, explosive, and that I think me and JoJo, we meshed really well because my style is kind of similar, and it was just easy for me to coach him. He quick, explosive, creates angles, everything that I wanted him to do, he was able to do, and it was hard for people to beat him. He's hard to take down. He's hard to keep down, and he proved it this
Yeah,
year.
he sure did. Um, you know, was there a defining moment during the season when you knew the team was capable of something really special? Or did you just know that from the beginning? Or was there a point that came where you said, wait, we got something here?
Well, the summer before this past season, we had some changes to the program. We had some kids come in and from other schools, And just the lineup in general after that point was, I knew it was, if everyone wrestled to their capabilities, we were going to be a dangerous team. And we ended up proving that at the end. It was a bumpy season. Like, it was definitely a roller coaster of a season. Getting everyone to buy in and all that, but towards the end, when it counted, everyone did their thing. And yeah, it was the best finish in program history. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's incredible. So I know, we've spoken many times about this in the past. You speak very highly of Coach Charlie Morgan. You appreciate the opportunity that he gave you to become a coach at a very high level there. So now I see you're wearing a shirt with a different logo, Matter Lakes. Let's talk about that. What attracted you to the opportunity at Matter Lakes that you've been given now?
Well, yeah, just to piggyback off what you just said, Charlie's a great dude, and he definitely gave me the opportunity to make a name for myself and get to where I'm at today. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't you know be on this podcast with you anyway. So I have to
Right.
definitely give credit. I definitely have to give credit to Coach Morgan, and for believing in me from the beginning, and that he's the reason that these opportunities opened up for me. But to go back to Matter Lakes, yeah, I wasn't expecting to leave Archbishop, but I guess opportunities come to you, when you're doing a good job and when you least expect it. Or in my case, I guess I expected something to happen eventually, but you know, definitely not
Yeah.
at Matter Lakes. Two back-to-back defending champs, and great, great school, and they have a lot of history there. And also, one of my coaches used to coach there, JD Ramsey. He was one of my coaches at St. Thomas University, and someone I look up to as well. And Coach Neifeld, who I'm going to be coaching with now, is one of my good buddies, and I've known him. I mean, they both watched me wrestling since I was little, so
Yeah.
I've known them for a long time, and just to be able to coach with Neifeld now, it's awesome. And I couldn't really pass up that opportunity. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, and I'm sure Coach Morgan understands that. He's made moves in his career before for the better for him, and I'm sure, he's not trying to hold you back. He's going to let you go, where you're going to flourish and grow, and maybe get some more opportunities. Who knows? Maybe you coach at the college level in a few years. Who knows? But
Maybe.
what was that conversation like? Was that a hard conversation to have with Coach Morgan, or how did it go? Was he pretty understanding about the whole thing?
Yeah, no, he was actually really understanding. And you know, for a couple weeks before, after the season ended, there were like rumors swirling around. Not really sure who was spreading them, but there was definitely rumors spreading around that I was leaving and going, to other places. And of course it got back to Morgan, and I wasn't hiding anything, but it got back to Coach Morgan, and he asked me about it, and I was honest with him that people reached out, and I didn't make any decisions yet. But a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago, I reached out to him and told him what was going on, and he was super understanding, and let me know that if they're giving me and offering me everything that they said they were, that it's a no brainer for me, and
Yeah.
he wishes me the best, and that I'll always have a place at Archbishop with him, and it made the decision way easier.
Yeah, for sure. Describe yourself as a coach in 3 words.
Passionate, determined, and high energy.
I like it. What's more important to you, technique, conditioning, or mindset?
Um, Probably technique and maybe mindset as well, just because when I was growing up, the mindset was a big thing for me to overcome, and
Yeah.
I take pride in trying to help these kids overcome that as well. So
Yeah, it's a tough thing, the whole mindset thing with wrestling. People don't realize how big it is, because I mean, I remember there were times where I'd be vomiting in a garbage can before I'm wrestling a JV kid, knowing damn
yeah,
well I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. I still couldn't control those nerves, and my head was just so
yeah.
mental mindset is a big thing, man.
I mean, I used to do the same thing, and my dad would get pissed at me because he's like,
I
"Why in the hell
remember.
are you throwing up?" You know. But I used to get super nervous. But honestly, the good thing about where I grew up at St. Thomas Aquinas and even around my brother and my dad. And of course, I have to give shout out to my mom because she was always there for me and,
Oh yeah.
showing her to lean on. And, she was someone different I could go to when I was having issues. But the good thing about St. Thomas and my brother and dad is that they were a hard nosed team. We weren't handed anything. We had to work for everything. And,
Yeah.
if I was feeling sorry for myself, Rob or my brother or my dad would tell me to stop being soft. And that's why I try to kind of instill that in these kids because the generation's a little bit different now. And, you got some of the kids are just, they're not like they were back in the day. And I think I do a good job of kind of bringing that back in a different way, different perspective for them.
How do you think you motivate kids who are not naturally self-driven? Like, how do you get to a kid like that to make them start, working a little bit harder? Because listen, I was one of those kids. I would do the minimal to get by without getting yelled at. And maybe that's why, I didn't become a state champion. But what do you think for those kids? What's the best way to get to them?
Well, first and foremost, you got to build a relationship with the kids. Like, I know, some coaches don't really believe in that, but in order for your athlete to want to wrestle for you and want to go to war for you, you got to be able to build a relationship with them. And if they
Yeah,
don't want to wrestle, if they don't want to wrestle for you, and you know, they, why are they going to want to go to war for you? So first
right.
and foremost, I want to build a relationship with them and gain their trust. And once I do that, that's when I start going over the details and the hard practices and all that. And I try to make my practices fun. And you know, it's I just try to make the practices fun. And everyone's different. I was coached differently. Um, I mean, I had great coaches. The different thing about me is that I had great coaches, and I also had not so great coaches. So, I think all those experiences together kind of shaped the coach that I am today, and I'm able to connect with athletes in a different way. So, just really gaining their trust and building relationships.
I also think you have the upper hand on a lot of coaches right now because you're a fairly young coach. You're a young adult. You're in your mid 20s. So you're not that much older, 10, 11 years, whatever, but still that's not a lot compared to these older 50, 60-year-old coaches. So I think you have an upper hand because they're going to be able to relate to you and you're going to be able to relate to them a whole lot better
Yeah,
than a 50 or 60-year-old coach. Do you agree with that?
for, yeah, no, 100%. And it's not just that because a lot of young coaches also don't really understand certain things about coaching either. They think just because they're young they can do certain things, but I think you need a perfect mix of everything because it's not just that I'm young, but I was also around older older people my whole life and younger people and just I had a great mix of people around me when I was younger and it just molded me into who I am. So it's hard to get the experience that I grew up with. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that.
I think being such a young coach, coaching younger athletes, um, there's some negative to that as well. Like, how do you balance being approachable and their friend while still demanding discipline? Like that, how do you separate that?
Yeah, well, my first year it was actually hard. I still did really great things as a coach my first year, but I think I definitely as the years gone on and my experience grew, I had to learn how to balance that. Actually, Morgan helped me a lot with that because sometimes I was being too friendly and then when it was time to really get them to
Right.
cooperate, it was hard, because they're like,
Exactly.
wait, I thought we were
Yeah. You're my
cool.
boy.
Yeah, and like it's not about being cool. Like we're cool, but when it's time to work, I need them to understand that.
Yeah.
I'm a different person when I'm running practice. I'm a different person when I'm in the corner, and you know my main guys understand that. Like Jacob, JoJo, um, you know they understand that, and there's many others that I just can't think of right now, but they
Yeah.
understand that when it's time to work, it's time to work, and when it's time to be cool, we can be cool. But Yeah, I had to learn that balance for sure.
What are your expectations for Matter Lakes this season coming up?
Um, you know, the good thing about Matter Lakes is they already got history as, being a great program. So I I think the main thing is just being able to build something special while also keeping the same keeping the same thing that they got going on. They already have a winning culture, so I don't really need to change too much. It's just continuing to build relationships, and me and Brandon are excited for this new opportunity to do something special. Everyone's doubting Matter Lakes. I'm not really sure why, because most of the guys are still there. Some guys
Yeah.
are probably leaving, but most of the guys are still there. And the good thing about Matter Lakes, one of the main reasons that it was easy for me to choose them is because I already have a great relationship with like Mason, Odell, and Chris Green, and those guys, and I already coached them a little bit, so they know what it's about. And I think it's going to be an easy. I think it's going to be an easy thing to do. The one thing that people are going to know when they wrestle Matter Lakes is that they're going to be in a dogfight every time, win or lose. And our main goal is to be able to still be on top and compete with the best teams in the state. And I don't think people should be doubting us, because we're right here. And I think after this news, it just all eyes are back on us. And
Oh, yeah.
I think people need to understand that and watch out.
Yeah, the Kings of 1A is definitely gonna be Matter Lakes. You got some good schools there with you, but, I do believe that, you guys should win a state title this year. Um,
Yeah, I mean, two way is definitely, it used 3A when I was wrestling was always, the gauntlet, but now 2A is kind of right up there with them.
it
And
is.
Matter Lakes dominated 1A for a while. But one thing that people are going to say about Matter Lakes is, like I said, we're going to be all dogs, and you know people aren't going to want to compete against us. I don't think so, at least. That's the main
Yep.
thing.
Do you eventually wanna become a head coach?
Yeah, that's the main goal is to be a head coach. But I mean, when I'm coaching with people that let me do my thing and believe in me and kind of keep me grounded, I'm fine with this. I'm not going crazy to be a head coach right this second, but that's definitely the main goal.
Who was the one coach that changed your life, and what did they do differently?
um I had a lot of coaches. uh I think probably Coach Rob, just because when I think of a coach, I have to think of him just because he definitely, one thing I can say about him is he instilled toughness in me, and a not feeling sorry for me type of attitude. And
Yeah.
you know, uh, even though we probably butted heads a lot, I I look I definitely look back at him a lot now that I coach, because he got me tough, and that was the main thing, because I try to instill that in the guys now, is just be tough. And that's hard to understand. Like, what does that mean? Be tough, but come to practice every day. Um, Wrestle hard for 6 minutes. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't look at other people for recognition. You just got to be hard nosed. And my brother wasn't really my coach, but it's someone I looked up to, and someone that I looked after, because he was hard nosed, and definitely didn't let anyone feel sorry for himself, and he still doesn't. And I still look up to him for advice now, even when I'm
Yeah.
coaching.
I mean, you had some big shoes to fill over at St. John. Your brother Sal, state finalist, he lost by 1 point to Pat Lugo in the state finals, had a great career, um, was a professional fighter for a while. Now he's a decorated police officer, in a very
Mhm.
short time. But, those are big shoes to fill. Did you feel that pressure on your back?
Yeah, definitely. I think I definitely didn't achieve everything that I wanted to achieve as when I was growing up. I think I put too much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
I definitely put too much pressure on myself, but now I think it actually helped me be the coach I am today, because now I can, you know, help people help my athletes off of my experience as a wrestler. And you know, at the end of the day, one thing that I had to learn growing up is you want to be able to wrestle for yourself. You don't want to wrestle for other people. And
Right.
I ended up learning that towards the end of my high school career. And that was big for me because I was always trying to wrestle for other people and make other people proud and all that stuff. But that ended up just putting way too much pressure on myself. And when I started to just wrestle for myself, and because I love the sport, and because I love hitting cool techniques and matches, and you know being fancy and slick, that was when I wrestled the best. And that's what I try to instill in these kids. It's to wrestle for yourself, wrestle because you like it, and stop wrestling for other people because there's a lot of crazy dads out there, crazy moms, and um, you know that's the main thing is you want to wrestle for yourself.
What would you say to a kid that says to you, how are you going to get me to a state title? You didn't win a state title. How are you going to coach me to one? What would you say to a kid like
I don't think I, I don't think being a great coach means you have to, win a state title or win a national title.
that? Right.
I think that's a false misconception. Um, but I think people are starting to notice that now. I don't think that's the case because the best coaches weren't even,
Right.
weren't always the best athletes. I mean, who do we got? Like, you know, Bill Belichick and Cus D'Amato with Mike Tyson. I mean, no one really remembers Cuss for his athletic career, boxing career. They remember him for coaching Mike Tyson to be an
Right.
absolute monster. So
Yep.
that's kind of where I'm at now. Is I'm here to build monsters and get people excited to wrestle for me.
Yeah, I've said it so many times on other podcasts. Some of the greatest coaches that I know never even placed at the state tournament. I'll give a perfect example. My oldest son, Nick never placed. He didn't start wrestling until he was in ninth grade. Never even saw a mat till he was in ninth grade. But
Mhm.
became a student of the game, and I think he's one of the best coaches around, especially
Yeah,
for
Nick.
youth.
Yeah, Nick was one of my coaches as well, and
Right.
the good thing about Nick is he also understood that you need to build a relationship with the kid. You're not just you don't want to be a drill sergeant, and that's what a lot of these
Right.
coaches nowadays and kind of the old school coaches maybe don't understand is it, the generation is different. It's going to be hard to get a kid to want to go to war for you when they don't really feel you have their back 100%. Because one thing that I want my kids to understand is that if I'm going to have their back no matter what, and if there's a scrap, I'm going to be in the scrap. So even though that's not the case,
How difficult is it to leave some of those Archbishop kids?
it's definitely difficult. It's that was really the hard decision that I had to make. 'Cause, um, I'm definitely not trying to leave those kids. I've built a great relationship with all of them. So it's tough, but I, I had to do what was best for me, and I'm gonna miss all of them. I hope they keep everything that I taught them. Continue to remember all the lessons and the fun times that we had. And, everyone moved on eventually, but the great thing about being a coach is that you leave lasting memories, and I hope I left lasting memories in each and every one of those kids that I will
Yeah.
leave.
And you might still have an opportunity to coach some of them. I mean, you've got Guerrero Gold, your wrestling club. So I mean, they could still train with you when they want to, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure. And, yeah, I have my club, and whenever they want to train, I'll be here. And and if they ever want to shoot me a text, I'll be here too. So I'm not
Tell,
far. I'm easy to talk to.
yeah, tell me about Guerrero Gold.
Um, I was building my brand. I was trying to build my brand, and I saw a lot of these coaches making clubs, and I was like, I can do that. Like, what some of these clubs, I'm like, they're not. I'm not gonna bash any clubs. That's but I think I definitely bring something different to the table because I actually care, and not that these other clubs don't, but you
Some
know,
of them don't. Let's just call it what it is. Some of them are
some of
there just for the money.
Yeah, and that's the truth, and I'm definitely not in it for the money because like the sport, it's not like it's gonna make me rich or anything. I mean, that's
Right.
the plan. I hope so, but you know, I do it because I care, and I take great pride in my practices. I think my practices are some of the best in the state, and I think kids are starting to realize that. And I think I'm like only 4 months into my club, and it's already one of the best clubs in Broward, and that's not because you know of any other reason other than I care and people see it.
Yep. And I think when the kids see it, it makes them want to work just a little bit harder for you as well.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, last question. When people talk about Gianni Guerriero years from now, what do you hope they say about you as a coach?
Um, I hope they say, that he was one of the best coaches in the state, in his tenure, and I want to leave a lasting memory for the state of Florida. I definitely want to be known as one of the best coaches to do it. Definitely.
And if you've got any Archbishop kids that are going to be watching this podcast, what are your final words to those kids? What would you leave them with?
Um, you know, just keep working hard. Don't let control the things that you can control, and don't let anything hold you back. They know. I told them all year, so deep down they know what it is, and I love them all, and I wish them all the
Awesome.
best, and that's that.
Well, I wish you all the best at your new venture at Matter Lakes Academy. I think you're going to do amazing. Well, I know you're going to do amazing things there. I think you'll replicate what you did over at Archbishop and then some. You've got some serious talent over there to work with. Plus, who knows what's going to come in? Every year kids come in from different schools to other different schools. So who knows what you're going to get? And I call it the transfer portal. But
Yeah.
I do wish you the best. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show. Real quick, if anybody wants to get private training with you, how do they get a hold of you?
You can reach me on Instagram, Gianni Guerriero, or my club is in Davie, so Guerrero Gold Wrestling Club.
Okay.
My number. You can get my number on Instagram as well. So
All
I'm
right. So
easy. I'm easy to
Instagram's
find.
probably the best way.
Yeah,
All right. Perfect. All right, G. Have a great rest of your day. I don't know what you got going on, but tell your dad I said hello. Tell Sal we
I
love him.
will.
And
Yep.
have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Ricky. Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Later.
All right.